almost the end of National Marriage Week.
Right,
Not that
yeah.
we're married, but I'm married.
Yes, I get a funny look when people say, "Well, are you and Debbie married?" And I say, "Well, she is."
Yeah, we do finish each other's sentences though, but that's I really feel like we were brother and sister,
Hmm.
somewhere.
Well, we
I,
are.
I can't say in a past life because we don't agree with that in the Catholic Church.
No,
That's not
no.
right. But you know what I'm saying. We just feel like we really have known each other for a very long time, and that's a good thing. That's a relationship that is has a good foundation and has a good beginning and has grown, right? And that's what we're talking about today. All about relationships. Do you have one of those relationships that you can finish each other's sentences? It maybe even in your marital relationship, right? You just feel like you just know each other inside and out, right? Or maybe you have a relationship that's very difficult, hard to maintain, it's toxic. Let's talk about it, okay? This is Friday. Don't go into your weekend yet. Let's talk about relationships. And Jerry and I are going to put on our life coaching hat and we're ready to go. So you can ask us anything and we're happy to answer the best we can. Here's the number: 833-288-3986.
All right. Rich Jesse is screening and doing social media, double duty. Thank you, Michael, for that updated piece of information.
He's
And
wearing
yeah,
two
it's
hats
it's
today.
yeah. A lot of folks work really hard. We love the show team at EWTN, and we just love to give them kudos because Debbie and I may be the ones behind the microphones, but they're the ones behind the scenes who make everything hum like it does every day. And of course, you do as well, Take Two family. So again, as Debbie said, we're talking all about relationships. If you want to talk about your marriage, maybe a relationship between you and one of your children, a coworker, maybe a sibling, maybe you're estranged from somebody, or maybe it's a great relationship and you just want to give a shout out to it and say, this is how we make it work. All of these things we can talk about today, but not without you. 833-288-3986.
All about relationships on for the end of National Marriage Week. So this is a great opportunity. Now, if you want to remain like somewhat anonymous, you want to protect the privacy of others, just, give us your confirmation name. We don't like to say, "Hi, anonymous, welcome to Take Two." We like to call you by your name. And it's a great way to honor the saint that you picked during your confirmation. So if you want to protect your relationships, please do so. We want you to do that. But this is an awesome time, a safe place for you to call in and ask, because others are learning and growing listening to this show. That's the way Take Two works. Okay, that's why we get thousands of emails. Okay, because people want the answers. We want to know what's going on in each other's lives. So the number to dial is 833-288-3986. Don't wait till the last minute. We're not going to do a part two because we're going into Valentine's weekend, and then Monday we have our in the news show. So we're not going to be doing a part two. So call in now.
Well, yeah, speaking of Valentine's Day this weekend, maybe you want to wax a little nostalgic and go back to the time when you were courting someone, or when you proposed to someone, or you fell in love with that person. How you've managed to keep that marital relationship going strong. Maybe we've talked about this a lot too during the pandemic and the lockdowns and the shutdowns and so much people at home all together. How has that impacted your family relationships, for the better or maybe for the worse? We can talk about that because, as Debbie said, everybody's ears are tuned in attentively right now to what you have to say at 833-288-3986.
Phone lines are just starting to light up, so thank you for not getting started with your Valentine's weekend yet. We want to hear from you, so please call in. You do not have to be Catholic to call in. If you are listening, we consider you part of the family, and we get new listeners each and every day. It is amazing. We hear from all over the world, and we just love you guys so very much, and we want to go through relationships together. How about trust? Do you have a good relationship that's built on trust? I think that's one thing that we have, Jerry, in our friendship and working relationship. We have a really good trust for one another. We're very comfortable in that, and it's a beautiful thing when you have that foundational trust, wouldn't you say?
I would, yeah. Yeah, just some examples of that. Just being on the air, for example. Debbie talked about kind of finishing each other's sentences. I think there's that good chemistry that we have. Debbie comes from one angle, I might come from another. Off the air, we do the postings on the show website, and one of us will jump in there if the other one is kind of tied up and busy that day or something. So maybe you've got that kind of working relationship with somebody. That's a beautiful thing. When you can go to work, to your job, the workplace, and know that someone has your back and you have their back, and maybe that has just resulted in a very close relationship. Maybe you go out to lunch together. Maybe you're people of faith. You have a shared faith. Whatever it is, today is the last day of the week, and we're heading to Valentine's Day, and it's all about relationships at 833-288-3986.
Couple open phone lines, so plenty of time for you to get right in and speak to Rich. He is so wonderful to talk to. So please call in. Don't sit this out. We need to hear from you. You are the teachers here. So if you have something to say, maybe you could impart some wisdom. Somebody listening right now, we believe the Holy Spirit is moving and it's happening for all of us. So there's no accident. So make it happen. If you feel that little nudge in your spirit, pick up that last phone line, 833-288-3986.
Yeah, and with Valentine's Day coming, if you want to discuss your romantic relationship, your marital relationship, you're certainly welcome to give a shout out to that wonderful lady or that wonderful man that you have been married to for a while and you've had kids with together perhaps. So keep that in mind. This would be a good time for you to send a little bit of love over the airwaves here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. We're going to get set to take some calls here in a minute, Debbie, but we got to...
I have to do a little shout out.
Yeah.
So Marty came home yesterday with those little sugar candy hearts that I just love. And he goes, "Here, I got these for you." It turns out a vendor came into the office and gave them for free. So he brought them home to me.
Well, he did get them, and he gave them to you, so he got them for you.
Yeah, at least he didn't eat them or open the box, right? Okay, it's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Call us, 833-288-3986.
Beyond Damascus with Dan Demite and Aaron Richards is our show for young adults.
Everybody's talking about encounter. Everybody's talking about that mountaintop experience. What we fail to often talk about is what happens after, what happens beyond that Damascus moment.
Jesus Christ is calling all of us to be missionary disciples, disciples of Jesus who are on mission to bring the kingdom of God here and now on this earth.
Beyond Damascus with Dan Demite and Aaron Richards, tomorrow at 8 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Hi, I'm Debbie Georgiani. Jerry Usher and I have created a team of amazing certified life coaches with you in mind. We would love to assist you on the journey of life to help you live life to the full as the Bible states. Visit us at standtalltoday.com for Christian life coaching at its finest. Initial consultations are absolutely free. Sign up soon at standtalltoday.com.
Unplanned, the true story of Abby Johnson.
I would be the youngest director in Planned Parenthood history.
She believed in a woman's right to choose.
I've had an abortion myself, so I don't have any problem with another woman making the same decision.
Until the day she saw something that changed everything.
Tiny, perfect little baby. And then it was just gone.
Now she's pulling back the curtain on the abortion industry. Unplanned.
Available at EWTNRC.com and the
Thanks so much for being with us here on this Friday episode of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you. We have a lot of people on the phones. Phone lines are full right now, but we get through as many calls as we can, so keep trying to call in. And we do social media comments and emails, too, at take2@EWTN.com. The streaming online is on Facebook, and YouTube is where you can comment there. And every single day of our lives, we should really want to draw closer to God. And we can't always get to Mass, get to church for adoration, find other people to pray with. But EWTN Radio Essentials has that, and they have the sacrifice of the Mass every 2 hours, plus rosaries, Divine Mercy chaplets, Stations of the Cross, and other devotionals every hour. So you can hear EWTN Radio Essentials on the EWTN app and at EWTN.com. So make sure and make a note of those so you're never alone. You can always worship Jesus on EWTN Radio Essentials.
Love it. Okay, somebody must have dropped. So there's an open phone line. Jump on that quickly. 833-288-3986. You want to talk about any relationship in your life? We are here to listen and to respond and have a great conversation. Just pretend like you're in our virtual living room, okay? And you got a nice cool drink in your right hand and you're just chatting away. That's what it's like on Take Two. So pick up that line, 833-288-3986. Amanda was first up. Thank you, Amanda, for getting right in there. Lake Charles, Louisiana is where you're living, and you're listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Amanda.
Hello, guys. I first want to start out by giving a shout out to my husband. His name is Brent, and we've been married almost 6 years. And I have to say, God put us together. I have my weak areas, and he always comes strong and helps out with the house, the things that are supposed to be women duties. He helps out and cleans and helps me with the kids, and I just could not do life without him. So I love you, babe. But I wanted to call in about this topic because really God has put me on a journey in 2020. Kind of growing older, getting out of college where you were so close with friends, moving and then getting married, having kids, you kind of start noticing you and your friends start to go in different directions. And I used to be so affected by that, and I would always kind of say, they've changed. When I go around them, they've changed, and I just felt like I was missing out. Well, I was praying to God, and at the beginning of 2020, I actually realized, like through God, that they actually haven't changed. It was a big revelation that I've changed. My interests, I want to talk about Jesus to people. I want to nerd out about different things, and I finally took the burden off of my friends and realized that I'm just seeking new friendships that are more related to what I've grown to be. And so when I got that in mind, I was like, now God, show me those people, because now being in my 30s, it's kind of hard to find friends. You don't go out or anything. Well, just through 2020, one with the Inspired by Faith group, I joined that, and usually I'm not an interactive person online, but I've now gained friends across the country that we pray about. We talk about Jesus. You know, I never would have thought before, if I would have not taken that chance, that I would have friends across the country of different ages. Also, through Facebook, people I graduated from high school but didn't really interact with just started sharing. We share a lot of Jesus stuff, and we started just messaging each other. And now I've gone to coffee with them, and every time I see a door open and a new friendship that I never would have expected, I just thank God, because for the longest time I was depressed and so sad that, like, my friends were leaving me. But no, it was me changing. I accepted that, and then I allowed God open those doors and see different new friendships. And I could say now I'm so blessed because of God and the new friendships I've gained in my life.
Wow, fantastic call, Amanda. And I'm sure you know this, but your name means, very much loved by everyone or deserving to be loved. And so you sound like someone who's very easy to love. Your friends would love you very, very much. I think you're making some great points. Hopefully, as we go through life and move from, say, high school to college to being adults to getting married to having a family, there's this maturation process that is a part of that. And, of course, a huge part of that, like you said, is, when we develop that relationship with Jesus, that's going to, of course, cause some separation and because we're not going to have that in common with all of the friends that we had from high school. But, it's even like this with family, too. We all grow up in the same house. We may share bedrooms. I shared a bedroom with one of my brothers. We're all still close today, but we're geographically dispersed around the country, and in some ways have some very diverse interests and likes and so forth. So good points, Debbie, being made by Amanda here.
Excellent, Amanda. Excellent. I was just talking about this exact scenario with a friend yesterday, and we were talking about how we are all pilgrims on a journey. Okay, we are moving, and with maturity comes spiritual maturity, right? And people will kind of come into view in our life and kind of go out and come in and go out. Doesn't mean we don't love them. It doesn't mean we don't care about them. It just means that we are meant to be on this journey and to get spiritually mature. Why? Because this is the training ground. I think it was Mother Angelica who said to that, kind of like that. This is the training ground here, and so it's important to ask God to have people come into our path, come into view, that are going to get us to that next level of spiritual maturity. And you're right. You get to a point where you just absolutely love talking about God, and your previous friendships or your long-term friendships, they're just not, maybe they don't want to do that, or that's not how they remember things. And so it's really, you can expand, okay, and create bigger circles of friendships. They don't all have to be the same. I think it's very healthy, right? Did I capture that okay?
Oh, that was lovely. And actually, one of my quotes I live by that I came up through is, life is a journey to fulfill God's plan. Like you said, we're all on a journey, and no matter where life goes, it's to fulfill what God has in our life, and there's going to be changes. And those changes, to me, can be difficult, even though they might be for the benefit, but they can be hard to accept. But as I'm going through that, I don't let those hardships of the changes affect me as much anymore. I now look at the other side and be like, God, what are you showing me? And I get excited.
And you get excited. Wow. Yeah. And by the way, Amanda, you should keep this broadcast so that whenever you need it in your back pocket with Brent, because that was so beautiful. You could hear that, you could probably hear that Jerry and I weren't saying a single word. We were trying to stay really quiet so you could have a direct communication to your husband. So keep this broadcast.
Yes, I can't wait to get him to listen.
Awesome.
It's beautiful.
Thanks, Amanda. Have a great weekend and a fantastic Valentine's Day. I hope that Brent treats you very, very wonderfully this weekend. Thanks, Amanda. 833-288-3986. All about relationships of any type you are welcome to call in about. And Daniel was next in line in Boston, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Daniel. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, Daniel.
Hello. I haven't spoken to the two of you since October. I am a senior citizen with a 30-something-year-old daughter with whom I had an absolutely wonderful, exceptional relationship until she went to the military, and now very pleasant and very nice conversations can be triggered, and she turns into a drill sergeant mode. My most recent experience, I think, is very typical. I suffered a fall, had an injury, called her. I was belittled and demeaned, and every single sentence was abusive, spoke with authority, spoke with control. When I responded with a very even tone of voice and said, look, I feel dizzy, I am in pain, I am in tears, I'm alone, I'm afraid. I don't disagree with what you say, but can you tone it down a little bit? Then I get dragged through the mud for holding on to my dignity, and there's absolutely no comprehension of why I felt I needed to call a family member before going to the hospital. And to frost the cake, she called her sibling who was going to come and help me out and told her sibling that he was being too good to me. So I'm kind of wondering if anyone else who has adult children in the military has been treated also like they were recruits in boot camp, and how they pursued solutions to it. I hesitate to report it to elder abuse, which it is, because I will be cut off from my grandchildren.
Sure.
And
Okay,
that's it in a nutshell.
Daniel, right. So Daniel, we're so sorry that you have to go through this. I mean, no parent should have to endure that. But a question, did she suffer any trauma or anything in the military? Because it sounds like she's kind of, it's almost like a displaced anger. Is there anything going on that you can disclose? Is there anything going on in her personal life that is causing her to have a change in personality?
Well, in the military, not that I am aware of, but I do understand how difficult it can be for a woman to become an officer in the military, which she did. Personal life, there were lots of problems with the relationship that she was in, and custody issues.
Okay.
So that may have
she's
contributed
she's
to
hardened
it,
a bit. She's hardened, Daniel?
considerably.
Okay.
Considerably.
Okay, so if I may go first, let me go first real quick, because we've got other calls here and I want Jerry to comment as well. If you said you had a good relationship prior to her going into the military, it may or may not be due to the military, because I can tell you right now that adult children ages 21, 22, all the way up into their 40s are treating their parents horribly. Not all. I'm just saying it's a kind of this problem that's happening with millions of adult children and millions of parents. Okay, I'm not talking a couple thousand, millions. Okay, it's a problem. And what I would suggest is for you to uphold your dignity, protect yourself. You're not going to convince her to treat you differently, but you can also, but you have the right to protect yourself, meaning you enter into conversations that you know are safe conversations for you and are not going to put you out there just to get, chewed up and spit out. Okay, so you need to protect yourself. Okay, but I would definitely pray to your guardian angel, to go to her guardian angel, to soften her heart. And you may even want to think about writing a letter to her and just saying, sweetheart, this is what I remember of you. And I love that. And I want to get back to that. So that relationship. So what we can do, let's get back to that and see if that softens her heart a bit. It may not. Letters sometimes are great. Sometimes they rip them up and it makes things worse. So it's a gamble. But what do you think before we go to Jerry?
It's worth a try, and I was also wanted to ask you you had a guardian angel book that you highly recommended. I was going to ask you for the title of that.
3 of them. I have 3 of them. Angels and Demons, Angels and Devils, and All About the Angels. You can get them at EWTNRC.com. Joan Carol Cruz's book, Angels and Devils, excellent. Joan Carol Cruz. But I think EWTN-RC is featuring All About the Angels. That was my very first book. I love it. Yes. So I hope that helps. And then the other book is Peter Craif's book. I'm looking at it right now on my shelf. Angels and Demons. I have to turn around and look for it. Does that help, Daniel?
It does, and I actually took a class with Peter 15 years ago.
Wow.
Oh, wonderful.
Wow, there you go. Well, you can tell him how much his book is great. He weaves in humor, which is fabulous.
Thank you, Debbie. And you were hoping Jerry had a few comments.
Well, Daniel, the only thing that came to my mind, you actually alluded to it a little bit. You mentioned she's an officer in the military. And I've never been in the military, and so I don't have firsthand experience. But, that they have to be kind of tough and firm, with the other soldiers, and maybe she just has a difficult time distinguishing between that role and the role of being the daughter that you remember. So we're definitely going to pray for this relationship. You mentioned the guardian angels, of course, fantastic. And as always, Debbie and I want to go to St. Joseph too in this year of St. Joseph. Ask him as her father to intercede and really soften her heart and give you a heart that is receptive to however she wants to treat you, that you don't give up, that you don't get too hurt by it, but you have that relationship with her, whatever condition that is in, and then you continue to pray for her. So that would be what I would add, Daniel. Okay. I guess we're going to get ready for a pause here. Daniel, thanks for the call. A lot of prayers go with you. Be assured of that. Thanks for listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on our friends at the Station of the Cross.
Okay, and I need to just repeat this again because we're having some text messages come in. Everybody wants to know about the angels. So All About the Angels book is Father Paul O'Sullivan. That's on EWTNRC. Angels and Devils, Joan Carol Cruz. Angels and Demons, Peter Kraft. You can find it all on EWTNRC.com. Call us 833-288-3986.
Al Cresta, Jonette Williams, Father Robert Spitzer. You'll hear the leading Catholic voices on the largest Catholic media network in the world. This is the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Prayer is the only truly creative power in the world. God is the only one who can create something out of nothing. And when we pray, we welcome God into our hearts. And once He's there, He's going to do something. He's going to change things. He's going to transform us. He's going to make something out of the nothing that is me. That's the power of prayer for me. It's the only power that's guaranteed to change my life. And the only way I know to make that happen is through prayer.
60 Seconds with Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen.
Because God knows all things and because He is Creator, it follows that every single thing in the world was made according to an idea or a pattern existing in the divine mind. Look round about you. You see a bridge, a statue, a painting, a building. Before any of these things began to be, they existed in the mind of the one who designed or planned them. In like manner, there is not a tree, a flower, a bird, an insect in the world that does not in some way correspond to an idea existing in the divine mind.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Hi, this is Cy Kellett. Later today on Catholic Answers Live, we're going to talk about eugenics and contraception with Angela Franks. Catholic Answers Live, 6 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
We are always glad that you're with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you. It's the Friday broadcast. As Debbie says, don't start your weekend without participating in this conversation. We're talking about relationships of any kind. So if you want to bring up any sort of relationship you're going through, struggling with one, maybe one is flourishing, anything you'd like to share, give a shout out to your loved one. I hear Valentine's Day coming up on Sunday. You can do that at 833-288-3986. We're going right back to the calls. Angela, you're next after Mary. So hang on, Angela. Mary is in Klamath Falls, Oregon, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Mary.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Anytime.
Just a shout out to my husband of 45 years who became a Catholic convert from agnosticism 5 years ago, and I'm so grateful to be now walking in union with him. But my question today for you is regarding being a grandma. With COVID, I am caregiver for my children, my grandchildren, when their parents are at work. We have a very close relationship with them, ages 12 and 10. My question is that recently the topic of homosexuality came up. My grandchildren brought it to my attention, and they're very casual about it. They're very accepting of it. They think it's just fine. I spoke with my daughter and son-in-law, who are Catholics, about the discrepancy between what Jesus teaches and what my husband and I believe about that. And our grandchildren have a different opinion that it's just fine and okay. And not only that topic, but other topics in which they don't seem to have quite the right Christian view on Jesus's view on that. I would like to know how I can represent what I believe to be Jesus's words on this, and not offend their parents or confuse the children by having two different opinions about that.
Right, Mary, that's awesome. First of all, Mary, you did a shout out to your wonderful husband. You didn't give us his first name. We can't celebrate him if we don't have a name for him, a first name.
I will give you his confirmation name as Thomas.
Thomas. Okay, I love it. Okay, all right. So, Mary, here's the thing. How old are the grandchildren, real quickly?
12 and 10.
Perfect. Okay, ask your I think as you said, daughter and son-in-law. Ask them if they would give you permission to buy and purchase a teen catechism. A teen catechism, okay? You can use the adult catechism of the Catholic Church, but a teen catechism. And all you do is you very unemotionally, you just say, this is what the church teaches, and I stand by it, kids. This is, and you just read from the catechism on all, and it covers it so well. Adult catechism, if you want to do that and break it down for them to their age level, or the teen catechism is fantastic. And that's what I do. I always start off with, this is what the church teaches, and this is what I believe as well. And I'm very unemotional about it. I'm very, kind of just state the facts without getting into, because the world is telling them one thing, Mary, and they're making it very emotional. It's a very emotion driven thing. And so, if you don't agree with this, then you must not like people and you must hate people. It's just not true. We have to get back to what is the truth. And I think the catechism is a wonderful way to say, hey, you know what? Let's see what the catechism says. And you explore it together, and you just leave it at that. Because then you've planted some really good seeds, and also you've put some thoughts in their head where they can recall them when they're growing up and encountering the world. That would be my suggestion. What do you think, Jerry?
Yeah, well, Mary, I think getting a form of the catechism for them would be excellent. Of course, the catechism distinguishes between having a same-sex orientation and desiring to live in accordance with the church's teachings and chastity, distinguishes between that and the behavior. So that might be an important thing at some point to try to get them to understand. But what I'm kind of curious about, are they being taught the faith, going to Mass, have they received first sacraments? Are they active in a practice of the Catholic faith, the kids or even the whole family?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Of course, because of COVID, we're doing it more at home. They're watching Mass, participating in Mass through the television every week. The children and I pray together. Their parents pray together with them every day. They've been through sacraments. So, yes, they are. They consider themselves active Catholics. And they're a wonderful, loving family.
Good, beautiful. That's the great foundation right there. And I think just praying for them, the whole family, pray for your daughter and son-in-law in particular, because as we know, the home is where the kids are first taught really anything. It's a domestic church, and parents are, of course, the primary educators of their kids. So just pray that there will be clarity in their home about this issue, and that they will continue to develop in the faith and grow closer to God and grow closer, more in love with the church, the faith of the church. And then that way, a lot of the confusion, I think, that exists will be cleared up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll be praying too, Mary, praying along with you, and the entire Take Two family will be praying. Deb?
Yeah, and just so you know, Mary, I do it all the time. When folks ask me questions, even teens, and they'll say, well, what about this? I'll say, you know what, let's go to the catechism and see what the catechism says. And it's a beautiful way to kind of get it off of, he said, she said, I feel this way, I feel that way. It's really wonderful to just stand with the principles and the tenets of the faith and just say, this is what I believe. I'm 100% Catholic. So Mary, we hope that helps, and God bless you. You're a beautiful soul, and I'm sure your grandchildren are so blessed to have you as their grandmother, and have a beautiful Valentine's Day. Jerry?
Okay, as promised, Angela is next in Perrysburg, Ohio, listening on Annunciation Radio. Thanks for your patience, Angela. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, it's actually Angel.
Oh, Angel, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful name.
Yeah.
wanted to finish my story the other day when we were talking about people not talking to each other, and I had explained that my ex-husband didn't talk to me for 5 years, and we divorced, and a couple decades went by, and my daughter called me from California and said, "Would you come up to the hospital? We just put Dad in." And I said, "Sure." I hadn't seen him in a long time. He hadn't spoken to me at all, and I brought some blankets and pillows up, and we tried to get the radio going for him, and we realized he was passing away, so we called the priest. I was able to be there for his last rites, and
It's okay. Take your time.
We were able to do the Chaplet of Mercy while he was passing. And it was very healing. And we gave him a funeral with military honors. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay, Angela.
Things don't have to be. It can be an absence of malice. Things can go well, and if we will just forget how to be angry and remember how to love.
Mm-hmm. Well, Angela, thank you for calling back. You were referring to our show we did on Has Anyone Ever Given You the Silent Treatment? You said that this happened to you for 5 years, but the way that God, I always say God is so gentle, He's so merciful, and He will answer our prayers, especially when those prayers are for loved ones, for their salvation. All I can think of as you're talking is with my father when he passed away. My parents divorced when I was 7. And he died about 30 years later, and we had very little interaction with him at all. And yet here was my mom and all 5 of us kids around his bed when he passed away. He had been reconciled with the church, died with a rosary around his neck, and I just learned so much from that. And Debbie, I'm learning so much more about God from Angela's story here as well.
Yes, and Angel, I have to tell you real quickly, hearing your story about your dad's passing, it reminds me of all the life coaching we do. And people come to life coaching because they want to get rid of the anger they feel, the resentment, the unforgiveness. And, you're right. When we're at the bedside of somebody we love that we all can relate to, and that person is dying, it's very final. And it starts to shock us. It starts to make us wake up and realize what's really important in life. And things start fading away. And we start to say, you know what, I'm holding on to something. Why am I holding so tightly on to this bitterness and resentment when it really is not serving me well? And so death, and especially those who witness it, it can be very healing. Now, it doesn't always go that way. Sometimes there's, deathbed, brawls, where people are going at it, blaming each other and stuff like that. But when it is this beautiful with this mercy and God's love and mercy surrounding all of you, then it is very healing. And we're so glad that you shared this with us today. And your tears just show how much love you have for your family. We keep, as you know, we keep a book for the living and the deceased, and I put in your whole family. But if you could give us your dad's first name, we're sorry for your loss, but we know that the Take Two family prayers.
My ex-husband, his name was Terrence.
Terrence. Okay. Got it. But yeah, thank you for sharing it, because we need to hear that. We don't want to wait for somebody's death to make us realize what's important, right? We want to learn it earlier than that. Don't you think, Angel?
Yes, I think that when you enter into this position of somebody passing away and you see them so troubled and writhing and sometimes lack of peace in their heart, and you just have to let go of everything and just say, let's try to save his soul. This is the last-ditch attempt to make it right. And the only words he could say were thank you. And so at the end, my children it was healing for them and for me. And as I said, we were able to give them military honors, which was incredibly touching, because it was just
beautiful. It was beautiful. But Angel, we're sad for your loss, but we're smiling right now because we're receiving text messages, and so many folks are picking up on the love you have from your heart. It's coming out loud and clear. You're a beautiful soul. You're the perfect name for you. Okay, I love it, and so just know you have the whole Take Two family around you, and just lifting you up in prayer. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angel. And what better words could be spoken at the end of one's life to those who helped get him spiritually in shape and ready for heaven? Then thank you, Angel. Thank you so much. God bless you. You'll have this experience for the rest of your life, and you can tell this story to so many people who might be in similar circumstances and fearing for the soul of somebody that they love. So, thanks, Angela, very much. We appreciate the call.
Thanks, Angel. Okay, please let me say the town.
Did I say Angela again?
You did.
Oh.
But you like the name Angela. That's why. So yeah.
I do. I'm so sorry,
yeah.
Angel.
Well,
Okay.
Angel is a great name, and I love it that it honors the angels. Please let me say this city because I practiced it during Pledge Drive. I know I'm not. I hope I get it right. Joan, New York, Station of the Cross, Canandaigua. Did I get it close, Joan?
Wow.
Yay.
First try, Debbie.
Ding, 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 ding.
Try. Sorry, I forgot my bell, guys.
I love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Happy Valentine's Day whenever it is coming up, guys.
Sunday. You too. You too. Okay. So what do you think about this topic?
Okay, the topic that I'm going into, and Rich kind of listened to me and said it was a different perspective, and he thought that it was pretty believable and helpful. So I'm going to put it forward, and I'm going to hope that you guys will follow it. Okay, it has to do with the man who had called up his daughter just before he went to the hospital and asked for some empathy, etc. Okay, she did not give it to him. It might have been because she was in the service. There are two things that I'm feeling from her emotions, and that is that she did not want to know that he was going to go to the hospital. Some people don't come back from the hospital. She had a wonderful relationship with him before she went into the service. Who knows how much time they have had for FaceTime or anything like that. And she was probably missing him as much as he was missing her. So as his daughter, she was saying under her breath, "Dad, I'm glad you kind of called me, but I don't want you to be sick, and I'm scared you might even die," without saying that to him. And her other part was because she was in the service, she was having to buck up, especially since she's an officer, and she was fighting within herself. And I know what fighting within yourself is. You want to do one thing, and another thing comes out. So that could have been her saying, "Hey, buck up, Dad," even though the other part wanted to speak more. And I'm saying this, guys, because specifically I have a family member who I have been so close to before he moved out, and we both experienced 2 marriages, unfortunately. One of my children it is. 2 marriages which had turned into domestic violence. So he picked up on my 2 different husbands, his own father and my second husband, who would, if I would be infirm or something, "Hey, I'm not going to do anything for you. You're not an invalid." And also when he had kind of been his own self, my son had been in his self and seen that I was struggling, to say, "Mom, why are you struggling? I want to help you." Okay, so I'm going contradiction in my head, which I've lived with all my life. I said, "Would you please help me?" And I would get back sarcasm. I would get back dismissal. I would get back abuse. And I'm giving you this example whereby they were doing something on their device, and I was saying, I really need to understand how this works. I have tried so hard, and I would try before I'd ask anybody to help, because I don't want to be told, well, you didn't help yourself. You know, you got to help yourself first. Okay, so this person, my son, would come back at me, you can do it yourself, Mom. And I would say, I'm sorry to bother you. However, I can't do it myself, or I wouldn't ask you. Well, you know, I'm busy. So when I would ask for help that way, or recently I've had a health problem, he wasn't going to step up to the plate to be able to take me where I needed to go until the last minute, when he could absolutely see that there was no one else that could take me, and I was going to have to cancel a definite test that had to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Joan, forgive me. We just we're going to run short on time here in a minute. We got to get to some other callers if we can. I want to go back to the insights that you had about. I think it was Daniel was the caller, right, Debbie? Who
it was Daniel's call.
Daniel,
yes.
Yeah. That was actually not something that I had thought of, but I think that there might be something to that. His daughter, who was in the military, an officer, might very well have been, feeling inside of her, very, very lovingly toward her father, and very worried about him going into the hospital, and that just couldn't quite come out that way. As you were talking, I was reminded of St. Paul in Romans chapter 7, around verse 15. He says, I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. And so this tension, Debbie, that she's talking about within us, it's very, very scriptural. St. Paul himself went through something like this, so we have to believe that it's something we might experience in our own lives.
Absolutely. And I want to thank Joan as well. Joan, that was a great perspective, and because of your call, I put down a couple show topics for future shows coming up this spring. One of them is how adult children treat their parents. That was suggested by Kathy, who weighed in and said, could you do a show on that? And then your call, it really reminds me of we in life coaching, we call it people's come from, where their come from is, what they are feeling. And that's really what you were exploring, I believe, in talking about your son and talking about Daniel's daughter. Everybody has their different, everybody has their different thoughts, feelings, fears, everything that they bring to their relationships. And it's very important that we acknowledge where their come from is. And so it's very interesting. I wish we had longer that we could speak about this, Joan, but I put it down that you are the inspiration for this future topic, Joan, and we'll revisit this again. We're just, like Jerry said, we're kind of running out of time, but you are a precious soul. Thank you so much for sharing and giving that wise advice to Daniel. Jerry?
Yeah, thanks, Joan, for the call. Hey, Divine Intimacy Radio airs Sunday mornings at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. This week, Dan and Stephanie Burke are joined by Kathleen Beckman. They'll talk about spiritual warfare and the family. So heads up, folks, a very important topic. And this episode is part 2 of on Kathleen's book, Family Guide to Spiritual Warfare, Strategies for Deliverance and Healing. So please tune in if you can, Sunday at 6:30 a.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. Eastern for Divine Intimacy Radio, and learn what your family can do to protect yourselves from spiritual attacks.
We want to get one more call in, but before we go to Sean and maybe some social media comments, I just want to make sure, because we always seem to run out of time right at the very end of the show. Jerry and I, the whole show team, everybody here at EWTN want to wish the Take Two family a happy St. Valentine's Day. Okay, so please know that's from our hearts to yours. St. Valentine's Day, have a blast, have a good one. Maybe eat some of those candy hearts or something. Okay, Sean is up next I was just a little joke there because I got half a box. Sean in Detroit, Michigan. Ave Maria Radio is the way you're listening. Hi, Sean. You'll be our final caller for today. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Yep, we're here.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So I just wanted to hopefully end on a positive sharing note of hope. My wife and I'll give you a little backstory. We had experienced a couple infidelities in our marriage. The first one, we went to the church, we went to counseling, and then we kind of slid back into our old ways. And a few years later, we had another infidelity in our marriage. And we decided to try a different program out that we'd heard about called Retrovai. And I hope you guys have heard of that program.
Oh, yeah, we
Retrovai
promote it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, excellent. So we went to Retrovai in 2018, and it's an amazing program because what it does is it's a program that only helps troubled marriages on the verge of divorce, separation, and even in the case of one of the couples that were at our weekend, they were already divorced for a year, but they wanted to improve their relationship for their children's sake. And so we went through the weekend program, and the weekend program just, allows you to hear other painful stories from other people who have gone through the program and open up your communication. And there's a series of post sessions that follow in the following weekends after that weekend, just a couple hours a weekend. And through that, we were able to learn things like intimacy and how family of origin affects our marriage and how to deal with conflict and things like that. And through that, we were able to heal our marriage to the point where it's now better than it ever was. And it was an amazing program, and it's available to anybody out there, not just Catholics, but it's available to anybody because our primary mission is basically to heal a struggling marriage or a hurting marriage. And I wanted to share that out there with people, that you can just go to helpourmarriage.org and learn about the program. And we have, I think it's something close to, we're in 59 countries and in 7 languages and 5 continents, including multiple places all around the United States. And it's such a wonderful program, and we were so profoundly affected by it that we decided to volunteer for the program after we had completed it, to help spread the word to other married couples out there. And it's such a joyous thing to watch people come in on the verge of divorce or separation at the beginning of the weekend. And then by the time they get to the end of the weekend, they walk in the door, they hardly want to stand next to one another. They're not talking to one another. They're not looking. They have a look of tension on their face. By the time Sunday comes around, they're sitting next to each other, holding hands, kissing, hugging. And it's such an amazing program that I think so many people don't know about.
Yeah, well, Sean, we actually have that on our the Take2Show.com website. Pardon me for jumping in, but we're going to hear the closing music here in a minute. But great call, Sean. Fantastic. You and your wife, God bless you. You were given great graces by God, and you took them, and now you're paying it forward to other couples who are going through difficulties in their marriage. So, yeah, we have Retrovai and Marriage Encounter on the Resources tab at Take2Show.com. Thank you so much, Sean. Blessed Valentine's Day to you and your bride. Debbie, another week in the books.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Thank you to all of the Take-Two family. You guys did a great job. If you would like any free consultations at Stand Tall, go to standtalltoday.com, and there's wonderful life coaches there, willing, able, ready to help you. So have a beautiful and blessed weekend. We'll see you on Monday. St. Joseph, please pray for us.
Dr. Ray Guarendi, making a commitment to the wives when the show's